This episode of Super Boothers is brought to you by PB Backdrops. Get anything you need for your photo booth business, like featherless boas, custom pillow cover backdrops, retractable banners, and much more. Visit their website at pbbackdrops.com and use promo code SuperBoothers10 at checkout for 10% off. Hello, bienvenido a Super Boothers. My name is Ryan.
Me llamo Ismael. Gracias. ¿Cómo está?
So horrible. So I really need to make a comment. So way back whenever I did props, I had the best graphic designer on the face of the earth. And we made a comment about this on Brian Miller's episode. You'd give him a little weed, he'd smoke it a little bit, he would come out with the best ideas. I've never had a better graphic designer. However,
I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
Oh my God, it was so amazing. So anyways, I gave him $200, and in Houston, there's a place called Arnie's. If you are in Houston, you need to go to Arnie's because they have the best props and they're all for $1. And they're all, for the most part, pretty decent stuff. It always go after Halloween because that's where you get the good stuff. However, we sent him to go get props. Big mistake, horrible, huge. He came back with the most racist prop box I have ever seen.
Dare I ask?
The most stereotypical of every culture was in that box. Like he had like the little Asian, the little pointed hat. There was like a Mexican poncho and a sombrero and a mustache. I mean, this was some pretty horrible stuff.
I assume you didn't use it?
Well, no, I still use it. I pay for it. But the funny thing is that everyone got really into it. I was like, this is horrible. Anyways, the whole point of it is that you're not just supposed to like lump all that stuff together, at least have it separated.
Thank you for that valuable lesson, Ryan.
What are we talking about today? I forgot.
I think we wanted to focus on something that a lot of people have been asking us, and that's how to transition from, because the iPad booths are kind of the big trend in the marketplace. Really? So how do you transition? Yeah, I think I saw something about that somewhere.
I don't know, maybe every single post on Facebook.
Yeah, so people are wondering how to transition from the open booth concept, to this digital future.
So I really am springing this on Ismael right now, but we had talked about it briefly, is the concept of drop-off photo booths, which I think this kind of ties into a little bit. So I will tell a little story.
We need some sound effects in here for story time.
No, that's not good. This is a good story time music. Let me tell you a story. So I did an event and I was feeling very sick, and I mean like nauseous. I want to throw up. I do not know how I'm going to get through the next 4 hours of this crap type of sick. I mean, have you ever done an event sick? Yes. It's not fun. I mean, if you're about to have a fever or a headache, everyone's busy. This was just this last December where I was like super busy. Everyone was like, on the staff was working. There's no one that could come over. I mean, I almost called my grandmother and said, listen, girl, you got to start working, earning your keep.
Okay.
What? She can't live for free. So anyways, so I get to this event. The DJ is blaring music super loud, and it was one of those like horrible DJs where like the speakers have like a little buzz to it. It was just rough, and I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to get through this for the next 4 hours? Have I told the story on air before?
I don't think so. I think I've heard part of the story.
I think I might have done it like texting you while it was happening. But so anyways, I get in there and we're all setting up. I set up everything. The client calls me and she's like, hi, we have a photo booth and you're not here. I was like, yeah, I am. I'm already finished. Oh, well, I'll be down there in a minute. I'm like, girl, you weren't even in the room. She finally comes down. Sorry?
She was testing you.
I don't know what she was doing. She was crazy. So she ends up coming down and she was like, oh, well, you weren't here an hour ago. I was like, yeah, I was. Like, I just set this up. Anyways, so I set up the booth. I do not want to be here. And I'm thinking to myself, what would Ryan do? So
I ask myself that question very often.
So I like pull it together enough to like make sure I'm not blue in the face and gonna throw up on her. And so she comes over and I said, listen, would you like to come approve this real quick? I just want to make sure I have the right logo. La 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 la. I go over. I said, would you like to try it out? She's like, sure. She gets it out, start taking a photo. It was a ring light. Click, 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 click. Here it does like the little GIF. What's your phone number? Click, 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 click. Wow, we get it that quick? Yep, you get it that quick. She goes, is someone going to be here the whole night? I said, no, ma'am. It's entirely self-service. I will be back here at midnight to pick it up. She goes, great. Thank you so much. And that's how I got out of it. And I think it had a lot to do with just my confidence and just, replying right super quick with, no, it's completely self-service. What are you talking about? Making her seem like the crazy one, like, because I'm the one that does this all the time. So she would expect me to kind of know what I'm doing.
Now that you mentioned that, I feel like we may have touched on this before, but who knows, man? There's too many episodes, guys. We can't keep track of all.
We're almost at 50 episodes.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We need a cake.
How can a digital cake?
Yeah, sure. Why not? We'll have someone make a digital prop cake for us.
Nice.
So that's the thing is I really appreciate, first of all, how in this day and age we are in. That's the thing is what was comforting to her is I said, if you have any changes, just let me know. I can do all the changes remotely. So she was just like, wow. So I mean, and then I left, slept in my car and like was completely fine, but there was no way that I was going to be in that event for 4 hours.
And how did it turn out?
She booked another event with me the following Monday. Exactly. Wow. That is why, like, I don't know how I get away with murder. I really do not know.
Now, have you heard people doing, like, what prompted you to try this? Is it just because you were sick?
I was so sick and I truthfully didn't care. I mean, that is just as horrible as it sounds. But like, first of all, I'm like, I was not going to be that far. So if anything went horribly wrong, like I could go in and fix it. But I just literally could not be there. I could not stand to be there for 4 hours. Like I was going to throw up on someone.
What about the fear of the booth being damaged or something happening while you're gone?
No.
Do you think that's an unfounded fear that people have?
I absolutely think so. But this is the thing is this is also how I look at like cars and vehicles. If I get into a car wreck and the car's totaled, okay, that's what insurance is for. Get a new one. I just don't think of it in terms like that. Like it is an iPad. It is literally a renewable resource. I'm not sure that's how that actually works, but you get my point. So that's another thing. So I had a piece of luggage go missing on a plane, and one of my attendants was like, "What do we do?" I was like, "Go buy another one. It's not that difficult."
Yeah, I think though that's an example of how these digital booths, these iPad booths, can be a game changer. Like for example, working in a big city like Manhattan, with the bigger booths before, I had to have two people go, one person park the vehicle, one person unload the vehicle. It's just a lot of equipment to get into the city. The iPad booth, these digital options are a lot.
Take it on the subway.
Yeah, it changed this game. You need one person. It's a lot easier to get in. You don't have to worry about traffic. And I think these drop-offs are another way where it can change the game. And also that famous example of where you put it into a dentist's office and as a permanent install. Like these digital booths, these iPad booths, really like open up a lot of different avenues that were not available without them. And I think this is why one of the things you say, Ryan, I totally agree with is, if you're selling it as a cheaper alternative, you're doing it wrong. And I'm quoting you there. I think people are missing the point when they do that.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is someone made a comment about how do you transition. So I put a question on our Facebook page and someone asked, how do you make the transition? And you can always do it with certain clients. Ismail and I had a long conversation with this one client that he has historically had that just did not want to change. And that's fine. You're going to have these.
I would just add that as a caveat, though. Like, for example, that was a corporate lease. Doesn't matter how great the digital booth is, they just don't want to change. They want what they had last year. And I haven't had much success getting my existing corporate clients to change, personally.
I haven't had that problem. There has been maybe one time where, for example, I have an art museum that I do a lot of work for, and they emailed me and she goes, Ryan, I know we do all digital. This crowd is just a little older and they're just going to expect something printed. Can we do printed? Absolutely. Not a problem. bring the printer. I mean, it's just you're absolutely charging them extra for it, and just because it's an a la carte item. But for the most part, I think that whenever people, and I talked about this, I don't know if it was Masterclass or our Australia episode, or I don't know. But one of the things is you really need to be focused on creating really great content. And that's the only thing that is going to get you away from, the backdrop, the printing, the props, all that stuff. The best way I have sold stuff is we do a really cool animated overlay. The animated overlay, and they say, well, what if we do props? No. Whenever you do props, the animated overlay, and it's a boomerang, it's just too much shit happening all at once. And that's literally what I tell my clients, that there's so much going on. We don't need to do it. It's just not necessary.
I think that comment that you make about creating shareable content is such an easy thing to gloss over, and it can just be like a surface level, statement, but it's really, really key. And I know myself, like when I go to a cafe and they give me a beautiful cup of cappuccino, nicely designed, what happens?
Hold on. You go to Dunkin'. Hey, don't pretend. Don't stunt for me on Instagram.
There's no Dunkin' overseas. So I had to go. I see these beautiful cups, or even if you go to like a nice place with dessert, amazingly visually designed dessert, it's beautiful. What do? You take a picture, you upload it, and you tag the company. I think the shareable content really, really is critical, and it's not that easy to do though for most people in this industry. But I've noticed in restaurants and in food places, that becomes such a big deal. Like, oh, we have huge pancakes that you can't finish, but everyone takes a picture of it because it's so unique and their friends want to go. It's such a key thing, shareable content. I don't want people to just gloss over that.
Creating shareable content doesn't even have to be like completely groundbreaking. Like that's the thing that it just needs to be very polished. So, for example, one of the things I use, I practically say it in every episode, I use a beautiful ring light, a beautiful Beautify filter, and maybe some like other like art filters, and that's really it. I like the animated backgrounds too. I think that also makes a big difference.
Like you said, it doesn't have to be that complicated, but these little touches that you can add to the product make it more likely that the clients will share it. And at the end of the day, once you've booked the client, you've got their money, you're servicing them, the real long game for you is to create a good enough service that hopefully they book you again, but also that everybody at that event shares the content that was created from your service. That's the really two end games for you after you've booked the client.
What I really appreciate about this is, and I made a brief comment about Instagram whenever people are like sharing content and stuff. So one of the things that I really appreciate doing is, let's say, so I format all of my stuff as a square just because I use Instagram. That's generally what I do. You can do 916, which is the tall portrait version of like what like an Instagram story or Snapchat or like that sort of thing. So I would always ask the client, hey, which way do you prefer it? If they don't have a preference, I would always do square, just because it looks great on Facebook, it looks great on Instagram, and Instagram is where you really want people to share it more on. So after every single event on Instagram, I go into the business profile. Let's say I did it at the Hilton. I would click the Hilton as like the places where it's geotagged. I would scroll through, and every time someone posted our content, I would always reply with a comment that says, "Thank you for taking a photo with us!" ! I have booked 4 events in the last month just from that tactic alone. That didn't cost me
Why do you think that works?
Money.
You're just saying thank you.
It is just the personal touch, I guess. So Taylor Martin, who was on our vendor relationships episode, which is our number 1 episode by far.
The downloads on that one is crazy.
It's insane. People have listened to that episode so many times, and she's told me that she's had like some of her, like, she's actually no longer at the W, by the way. She has moved on to another job, and at her new job, they listen to the show. So I think that's incredibly hysterical. I know. I actually haven't even told you this. But anyways, so she got a rather decent bonus, and we were in Dallas and we went to North Park together, and we went to, I think, the Coach store, and she purchased a very lovely bag. And the sales staff was like, what bag, or where are you going to use the bag? Where are you taking it? She's like, oh, I'm going to Vegas, blah, 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 blah. There's a bachelorette party. Chat, ring the card, swipe it, put it in the bag. Let's go. She tells me that they sent her a handwritten letter that said, we hope you enjoyed the bag so much in Las Vegas. Congratulations on your friend's wedding. Please come and see us. Like, we're happy to help, la, la, la. And she's like, damn it, now they know I'm going to go back in there. I want to talk about Vegas and I'll buy something else.
Was it like an email or was it a physical letter? How do they know her address?
A physical letter. Well, whenever you set up an account with like Louis Vuitton or Gucci or Neiman's or whatever, they put in your entire profile.
I love that. I love that.
They do that with Tiffany all the time.
They charge so much money that it's kind of, I mean, as a business person, I would expect them to do something like that because you're paying all that extra money. But that's a great thing that it forms a psychological bond between the client. Yeah, and it makes her more likely to come back. It's true.
It does. Oh, I hate it. They just guilt you into buying more stuff.
That booked us for an event recently. And, I have my team always try to get to know them. And this person actually had something happen terrible prior to this event. There was a loss in her family. So she opened up to the person on my team and told her that. So we sent her something, just totally as like a condolences type of thing. And not even 2 weeks after their event, to kind of build the bond and genuinely feel bad for the person. But when you like build this kind of relationship with your clients, that's what really pays dividends in the future. Stop caring about pushing the sale. And something that you say, Ryan, treat them as a friend. Treat them as a friend. And it's a question that came up at the Australia event too, is how do you get more corporate clients? How do you get more corporate clients? Take care of the ones you have, and they will lead you to more. I think that's a key thing that people kind of look over because they're just trying to get more.
So a little secret that I'm going to let everyone in on, and I don't know why I continue to do this. So there is a website called bond.co. And what it does is it does handwritten notes. Like there's a robot that like writes out your note handwritten and like sends it to like essentially what we would use for our clients. So you don't have to take the time to write out a handwritten thank you note. You just pay this company and have this robot
what do you think about
this? It's the most amazing thing ever.
This question came up because someone was asking about transitioning from open booths to these digital booths. What do you think about just booking? If someone wants an open booth, book it and just bring them a digital booth. I mean, it really technically is the same thing as an open booth. You put a backdrop up, you put the booth there, and it's the same thing. Yeah, they have no idea. So that shouldn't prohibit you.
Sure, they don't know the damn bit of difference.
Because it's
no, they don't know the difference. No, unless, so I've never really gotten into trouble for this. However, there are some clients where, so I manufactured my own photo booth. It was a glow photo booth, folded in half. I mean, it was like this LED thing. It was really cool. Essentially, it was just a giant iPad case is all it was. However, there was maybe one or two clients where I switched it out to a ring light booth, and they were really disappointed because of like the glow option was like part of like their decor. So like they were in like super modern spaces. Like they really wanted like that LED factor with like the changing colors and stuff. Those are the only two times where I think I've ever really gotten in trouble over it.
I haven't gotten in trouble yet. And just a recent example, someone wanted an open booth and I was like, sure. This booth actually has built-in social media functionality. And just by, like you said, the client doesn't know as much as you do. So you can pivot them into the place you want them to go.
Yeah, so absolutely what you say is, you're on the phone with someone, oh, blah, 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 blah. You know what? This just became available. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade you. Click, 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 click. Don't even give them the option to decline it. That's your part of being the salesperson is you just need to say, oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do this for you. And they love it. Thank you so much for listening. We're going to be at the Photo Booth Expo next week in Las Vegas. Come see us March 11th through the 14th at the Westgate Hotel and Casino. Ismail and I will be live on stage Tuesday the 13th at 10 a.m. We are going to be talking about the future of photo booths, and we have an amazing panel discussion set up for you. Also, the first 100 people that stop by our booth and take a photo with us will get our super exclusive Super Boothers drawstring bags. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week in Las Vegas.